Come in. It is Big Ten Today. It is presented by Gatorade on this Friday. I'm Dave Revson. Mental Health Awareness Month as well. We will talk to a doctor about the particular challenges that face student athletes. But we are going to start you off with softball. We are down to 4 after a busy day yesterday in the quarterfinals. That is our big story. It included a couple of upsets. The top seed Northwestern was knocked out by Indiana. Hoosiers getting some revenge for last year's loss to the Cats in the title game. Michigan and Nebraska both holding serve with convincing wins. But the 3 seed Rutgers not as fortunate. They too were an upset victim, falling 7-3 to Wisconsin. Michaela Chester on hand to watch it all in Iowa City, and she joins us now. And Michaela, let's start with Indiana taking down the number 1 seed Northwestern. The Hoosiers came into this tourney trying to solidify their NCAA tournament hopes. How much does this win over the Wildcats help ensure that they'll be in that bracket?
Well, it helps a lot. I think Indiana coming in was definitely a bubble team, and that win was so crucial, getting them right on the verge of looking in. They've had a really great end to the season, which has been really exciting for them. And that game, if you caught it, was awesome. I mean, the tournament hasn't been very kind to Northwestern aside from last season, but I wasn't expecting the upset this year. But Brianna Copeland was just electric, came in to seal the deal after starting, and was able to get out one of the best hitters in the Big Ten in Kansas Robinson. So what a way to win it. It was an electric end, and it was great. It was just 4 days after playing each other in the weekend's final regular season series. So they clearly learned a lot. They had some freshmen able to get things going offensively, and now they're looking to be in a pretty good spot come postseason, even without winning the auto bid.
A second win over the Cats in 5 days. You talked about them playing at the end of the regular season. They ended Northwestern's 38-game home win streak. So Indiana really enhancing that resume here in the last week. What about Northwestern? They're clearly an NCAA tournament team. There's no doubt about that. Is this damaging to them in any way? It didn't look like they were really in a position in any way to host. So what can this mean for them?
Yeah, I think that Northwestern was going to be safe either way in terms of making it into the NCAA tournament. But I think they were around going to be a 3 or 4 seed in a regional anyways. So I don't think it'll affect them too much. We'll see how the rest of the conference tournaments play out. You know, there's a lot of bid stealers when it comes conference tournament times. You think about a lot of upsets happening right now. The Big 12, Oklahoma State was upset by BYU. So you don't want a lot of bid stealers if you're Northwestern, if you're Indiana, any of these teams. But Northwestern will be in anyways, and my guess is they'll be a 2 or 3 seed in the regional.
No such trouble for Nebraska. They were not upset victims. They absolutely pounded Minnesota. Billy Andrews, 2 more home runs. Just such a talented player, and getting Nebraska a win they really needed.
Absolutely. Billy Andrews has been impressing me all season. And, you think coming into the year, Nebraska is the team that everybody's watching, that this is going to be the premier team in the Big Ten. And then they lose Jordy Ball. And you're thinking, how are they going to hold up with these arms that they have all season long? And then they have more injuries on top of that. And it's really just down to Sarah Harness right now, who is carrying a huge load for this Husker team in the circle. She did really great yesterday, and the offense is just so good. The pitching might not always be there, but the offense is going to outslug a lot of teams. And we saw that happen yesterday. Billy Andrews continues to break records. She hit 60 home runs now in her career, she was the first Husker to do that, and just the 8th Big Ten player. So that was really cool to see. It was also her 8th career game with multiple home runs, which is another Nebraska record. So she is just breaking so many records. She hasn't slowed down. And I think if the offense continues to perform and the pitching can hold on, they've got a chance tomorrow or today.
Yeah. We'll talk about those semifinal matchups coming up later today. Automatic bid obviously would be huge for the Huskers. Most of the bracket forecasts have them on the outside looking in right now. What about Wisconsin, the first 11 seed to make it to the semis in the history of the tournament? They took out Maryland. How do you account for the Badgers and this little run they're on here over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see. I remember watching Wisconsin in the beginning of the season, and they played so many top 10 teams, and it was all close games. And I just remember thinking, this is a gritty team, and talking to them, and they were like, come Big Ten time, we're going to have faced a lot of really tough teams, and we're going to be in a good spot. It didn't necessarily pan out that way in Big Ten conference play. They had a lot of losses, and obviously, they cannot make the tournament unless they win the Big Ten conference tournament here tomorrow. So today is so important for them, but they're just a fun team to watch. Tessa Magnamino in the circle, if you just watch her, you got to smile the way that she competes and is having fun out there. She's always calm and ready for the moment. And then they've got freshmen that are kind of heating up down the stretch. You think of Hillary Blomberg. Huge Big Ten conference tournament so far. She had 5 RBI yesterday. She had a home run in the first game. So you think of these freshmen heating up, coming up big for the offense, and that's really helping them down the stretch. This is a fun team to watch that has nothing to lose, really, right? If they don't win, they don't make the tournament. So they're going to come in hungry and ready to win.
And took down Rutgers there, not Maryland, a Rutgers team that set a new school record for conference wins. How damaging was this loss for them as they try to maybe find their way into the postseason?
Yeah, I think Rutgers was one of those teams that also really needed a couple of wins here to make it in, which is it's disappointing thinking of how good of a season Morgan Smith has had. Kylie Sand leading the conference in a lot of categories as well has been so good for them. And, I hate to see them not make the tournament, but with the loss yesterday, I do feel like Rutgers might be a team on the outside looking in, as much as I wish it were different. And obviously just depends on how things pan out with the rest of the conference tournaments. But Rutgers really needed that win yesterday.
Yeah, 0-5 all time now in the Big Ten tournament. They've still never won a game in the tourney. And finally, Michigan, it ended up a rout. They were in a close game, though, for a while there. Scoreless through 4.5 against Maryland before pulling away. This Michigan offense, which has been so good during conference play, really coming alive late.
Yeah, I had so much fun watching that Michigan game. I went into it being like, this is a pitcher's duel. It's going to be a quick game. We're going to go 0-0 all the way through. It was 0-0 heading into the bottom of the 5th. They put up 6 unanswered runs. And then all of a sudden, they load the bases, right? And I see them pinch hitting Avery Fantucci. And I'm looking at her stats, and she's batting 146 with 1 home run on the year. And she misses one straight back. It was a good pitch, just missed it. And next swing, she just absolutely unloads. And she said, I talked to her after the game. She was like, that was my very first no doubter. And she didn't even know it was a walk-off. I was like, when did you figure it out? And she was like, I didn't even know until my team started storming the field that we had just won the game. I love stories like that. You give someone a chance on a big stage to create a big moment. And that's exactly what she did. And you're right. The offense just really picking up late in the season, and we'll talk about their matchup more, but I think that Michigan's really scary right now.
Yeah, let's get into the semis today. Let's start with Indiana and Nebraska, 2 teams that did not play in the regular season. In fact, that is true of both of the semifinal matchups. Give us a little breakdown of what we should be watching between those 2.
Yeah, I'm really excited. You said it. These teams haven't faced, and I feel like the first 2 days of the tournament, we've seen a lot of matchups we've already seen early in the season. So I'm excited to see some that we haven't already seen. So yeah, the freshman, I think, is really important right now. That's a big storyline for both of these teams. Freshmen have been on fire for Indiana. Allie Van Brandt, Alex Cooper coming up big. So yeah, Nebraska, it's gonna come down to that offense. Can they outslug the other team? And Indiana's going to be tough with Brianna Copeland in the circle. She's been really lights out. I'm going to be really excited to see that matchup if they have her in the circle again against a Billy Andrews and a Sydney Gray and a really hot Husker team. So I have no idea who I think is going to win this game. Normally I'm like, I got a prediction. I have absolutely no idea because I feel like Indiana is just hot right now. And both teams have a lot at stake trying to make it into the tournament. So everybody's playing with a lot here, and I'm just so excited. I think this is going to be a really good matchup, both offensively and defensively.
Well, first time those two have ever met in the Big Ten tourneys, and not only did they not play in the regular season, but it's the first postseason matchup. And then Wisconsin and Michigan. What do the Badgers need to do here, McKellar, to keep this magical run alive?
Yeah, so this matchup, I think leans a little bit more on Michigan's side, in my opinion, just because Michigan was able to get out of that game yesterday with Lauren Durkowski only throwing 64 pitches, which that's just so big when it comes to the Big Ten tournament. When you think about having to win 3, 4 games in a row with limited arms. And of course, that's going to be the kicker for Wisconsin, right? Tessa Magnamino has been carrying the heaviest load for the Badgers. She's pitched over 160 innings this season, and she did 2 complete games yesterday and the day before in the first and second round of the Big Ten tournament. So do we see her again? Are they going to go back to her? I don't know. Like, can her arm handle it? We'll see. I mean, she's been really lights out for them so far. But it's going to be tough to contain Michigan. I really liked the way their offense just worked so well yesterday. The top of the order does a really good job of getting on. They play small ball. They lay down really great bunts. They advance the runners, and then they make room for Kiki Thal and Maddie Erickson in the heart of their lineup with some serious power to get it done. So if they can keep that type of success in the top of their order towards the middle, I think that Michigan's going to be a hard team to beat. And especially because they have Lauren Durkowski, who's probably more than ready to take on some more innings today. So Wisconsin got nothing to lose. You never want to say never. And they've been hot too. So let's see. Taking in the 2 seed Michigan. We'll see how they do.
We shall see. Obviously, history not with them. They have lost the last 9 against Michigan, just 8 wins in 51 all-time meetings for the Badgers. McKellar Chester, really good stuff. Enjoy the semifinals.
Thank you so much. Excited for it.
Both of those semis are here on the Big Ten Network. Starts with the Hoosiers and the Huskers at 5 Eastern. It's followed by the Badgers and the Wolverines. As always, you can also watch it on the Fox Sports app. Illinois is atop the Big Ten at 13-5 in conference baseball play with 2 weekends left in the regular season. Very tight race. They're game up on Purdue, Nebraska, and Indiana. Iowa in the hunt as well. The Illini open a weekend series at home against the Hawks this evening. That includes a Mother's Day matchup Sunday here on the Big Ten Network. Dan Hartlieb is the head coach of the Fighting Illini, and he joins us now. Coach, this is a team that feels like it has gotten better and better as the season's gone on. You started the season at 5-10. Since then, you're 23-6. What do you think has improved so significantly with this team?
Well, it's looking at the early season and the early schedule. We had a very tough schedule. We didn't handle it very well, both mentally and physically. We started to lose some games and let that snowball. We kind of hit rock bottom, and our guys banded together, and they stayed close. They've had great energy, and they've just played at a high level. So it's been fun to watch them. We've gotten a lot better since the beginning of the season. And again, it's a mental thing that we've kind of overcome as well as the physical part of it. So really pleased with what our guys have accomplished to this point.
Well, Coach, you've accomplished it in large part thanks to your offense. There's not a ton of subtlety with what this team does. You lead the Big Ten in OPS. You far and away lead the Big Ten in home runs. Tell me about the offensive approach with this particular group.
Well, this group has done a great job of commanding the strike zone. We've not chased a lot of pitches out of the zone. We forced pitchers to go deep into counts and throw pitches over the plate, and then we've done damage when we've done that. The thing that we really tried to do this year, I mean, if you look last year, we had a lot of home runs, but we didn't win games. But we weren't good hitters. And when I say that, we struck out too much. We weren't on base a lot. And so the focus this year has been head high line drives. If you run into a ball and it gets out of the ballpark, that's a positive and a plus. But this group has done a really good job with the physical. But to get to that physical standpoint, you have to do a really good job with the mental. And this group has worked extremely hard. We have a new hitting facility that opened up about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, the Atkins baseball training facility, and that's been a major source of development for us. And our guys have taken advantage of it. They spend a lot of time in there on their own, and then they spend a lot of time in there with the coaches, and it's really paid off.
This is your 19th season as the head coach in Illinois, 34 years on the staff. You're the winningest coach there all time. What are you proudest of your accomplishments?
Oh, boy. Well, the longevity has been awesome. The fact that we haven't had to move our family around. But the thing I'm most proud of is the players that have moved on and are successful in life. I mean, that's the thing that we talk about in our program, being well-rounded, go to class, graduate, be productive in the future. It's not about the wins and losses. I mean, the winning's fun. It's nice. It's one of the reasons that you get to stay at a place for a number of years. But it's all about the players, and they don't always understand when they're in the process and when you're pushing them and you're hard on them. But it's really rewarding when they come back and understand, that some of the success that they're having beyond here are because of a number of the things they've learned and the experiences they've had while they're at Illinois.
You talked about winning a lot of games. You were mentored by a guy who won a ton of games. It's Jones, 1,200 wins in his career. You played for him at SIU, then came with him to Champaign, were his assistant for a long time before taking over as the head coach. What are the biggest things that you learned from Coach Jones that you've been able to apply to your program?
Well, I don't know that we have enough time to go through all those things. There's a number of things. Let's start with the things I feel like are most important. Having a family life and a personal life outside of baseball, not taking the game home with you, I think that's really important. I think that keeps you going as a coach. And, our assistants have had that same opportunity to have a good family life, and it keeps them refreshed. From a baseball standpoint, basically, it's just keep things simple. We don't have a lot of specialty plays and a lot of gimmicks. It's just being very fundamentally sound. And the one thing that I would say that he always thrived on was getting better throughout the year, and not taking practices off, and really having a foundation for what you're doing. And so I was extremely blessed to spend that amount of time with him. He's not in very good health now, but I still hear from him each and every game. He's confined to a wheelchair, and probably doesn't have a lot of days left, but it's pretty special when I continue to hear from him, even at this time. I've said this many, many times. He's the best human being that I've ever been around.
Well, a lot has changed since he was the head coach of Illinois, frankly, since you took over as the head coach of Illinois, and that includes conference games coming up on the West Coast next year. From a baseball point of view, what does that expansion mean for the league?
Well, I think the expansion is really good for the league. We're bringing in 4 really, really good teams. I think it's going to expand the areas that we can all recruit. I'm hopeful that as we continue to move forward, that there's a way that we can push the season back, because I think that the Big Ten, along with college baseball, could create more revenue, not only from gates because of good weather, but also some of the things that you could do as far as TV and advertising and playing a little bit more in the summer. So I do think the teams coming into the league will help us as we move forward. And again, it's going to make the conference that much more competitive.
Well, let's talk about the league as it is currently constituted, and that includes you guys and Iowa. You start a big series with them at home coming up later today. Iowa's won 10 of its last 13. They are really playing well. Give us a scouting report on the Hawkeyes and what you're going to need to do to stay in first place after the weekend.
It's simple. We're going to have to swing the bats. They've got one of the best pitching staffs in the league. They've got 3 really quality starters, and we're going to have to go out and be very consistent and take our strength and beat their strength. We've been good defensively, and we've been up and down on the mound, so we need some consistency there this weekend. But I just talked to our guys about not trying to do too much. Do the same things that we've done to put ourselves in this position. Don't go to the plate trying to hit home runs and do something special. Just play with a calm, play with intensity, and everything else takes care of itself.
Well, it certainly has taken care of itself at home this year. You guys are 18-2, which is just a staggering number. I mean, I think about overwhelming home court advantages in basketball. You think about home field in football as being huge. That seems like a really extreme home field record in baseball. How do you account for 18-2 at home?
Well, we got better at the right time. We had a lot of early games on the road, and then we came home and changed our mentality, and things just fell into place where we got to play, the vast majority of our games a little bit later in the season when we were hot. And so, it's always fun to play at home. We have great crowds. We have great support, and it's been a lot of fun, not only to go on the run, but to do it in front of our home fans, which they're just awesome.
Well, Coach, I'm going to leave you with this. It has been 9 years since Illinois baseball won the regular season in the Big Ten. You are on the precipice, but as we showed at the outset here, there are a number of teams right on your heels. What would it mean to close the deal and to win a Big Ten regular season title?
Well, championships are why you play, right? It's why you're involved in athletics. I mean, there's a lot of things. We talked about the players and them moving on, but while you're here and you're in the moment, it's why you go about things, is to win championships, play at a high level. It's always fun to win championships. We've got a lot of work to do to get to that point, and we can't look ahead. We need to take care of business tonight and look at that first pitch. But I'm proud of our guys, where they've gotten us to put us in this position. I've always said to be a good, stable program going into the last 2 to 3 weekends, having an opportunity to win a title, put you in pretty good light on a yearly basis. And our guys have done a good job to get us to this point, and hopefully we can finish it out.
Well, Dan Hartlieb, congratulations, not just on a really good year this year, but on all the success you've had through the years in Champaign. We'll be watching this weekend. Excited to see this series with the Hawkeyes.
Great. I appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks. Our big stat is brought to you by Gatorade. The NCAA started sponsoring beach volleyball in 2016, and since that year, only 2 schools have won the national championship in the sport. They happen to both be joining the Big Ten, USC and UCLA. The Trojans have won 4 titles in a row. They beat the Bruins last weekend in Alabama to capture their latest championship. They are coached by Dain Blanton, who joins us now from L.A. And, Coach, congratulations on the latest national title, 4 in a row. I mean, it's remarkable. I know they're all special, but what makes this one particularly special?
Well, I think that no one thought that this could be done. And I think each year we just focused on that year alone and tried to take some of the pressure off. So, because you can imagine, even as a freshman coming in, with the weight of 3 championships, people talking about winning that 4th, there was a lot of pressure. So, we didn't talk about it too much. The pressure was there. It was built in. We just really tried to focus one day at a time, one point at a time, and focus on 2024. Sometimes players can get into that thought process of, hey, I'm afraid to lose. We said, you got nothing to lose here. They went out, they played loose, and fortunately for us, we were successful.
You guys don't do much losing. You only lost 5 times all year, but interestingly, 3 of those losses were to UCLA. I mean, this is a really even matchup. How significant was it to beat them in the final?
Well, it's huge. I mean, like you said, we played them 6 previous times, and there's actually times that we play in tournaments that request not being in the same pool because we play each other so much. I mean, you don't need to play a team that much. And once you do, though, you learn a lot about them, but they learn a lot about you. And it was pretty cool going into the national championship, both tied 3 wins apiece. And it was kind of a tiebreak for that 4th. It was the 4th win for us, and it was in 2024, and it was 4 national championships in a row. So the stars aligned for us, and couldn't be more proud of our student athletes.
Well, the stars aligned, but I think you guys had a lot to do with it in terms of getting to your peak performance at the right time. And what I thought was really interesting, and this has become a trend for you guys, I mean, not only did you sweep your way to the national title in terms of winning every game in the NCAA tournament, but you literally swept your way to the title. You didn't lose a set the entire time. So how do you get your team to peak at the right time, seemingly year in and year out?
Well, we focus on mastering trying to master volleyball, technical skills, falling back on that when you get in trouble, focus on the keys. We always say, a lot of people don't rise to the occasion. They fall back to the level of their training. And that was the case. To hear some of the players saying I was still working on things in that national championship is kind of that growth mindset, the culture that we've created to always trying to get better. Don't focus on the scoreboard. Even if you're down 4 or 5 points, we can still make it back in there. And we did a lot of comebacks. That was, I think, the first final ever where all 5 matches went to a third set, but no one was able to close out a set against us. Really proud about that. We were 3-0 in every one. And what you're watching there is a tradition of jumping in the Gulf. And it's interesting. Our players have really had a superstition that you cannot go in the water until you've won. So we're there a whole week, but no one goes in the water until that moment.
That's great. I mean, you want to talk about celebrations that are unique to a sport. That one certainly would be fairly unique to beach volleyball, I would think. I want to talk to you a bit about your background. It's pretty amazing. You played indoor volleyball in college, and then you made the switch and became a beach volleyball player. You ended up winning an Olympic gold medal. But tell me what appealed to you about the beach game and why you made that move as a player.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was actually exposed to beach at an early age. My family's from New York originally. My older brother's from New York, but they moved out right before I was born down to Orange County. And as you know, Orange County, a big volleyball hotbed. So I got exposed to the sport early. So I played indoor during the school year. Then I'd play beach in the summer. And when I went to Pepperdine, a big goal was winning a national title, was able to accomplish that. But I didn't want to play overseas or on the national team on the indoor side. I really was attracted to the beach. The environment, the culture is so great, and was able to win the 2000 Olympics. And it's still relatively new, right? 96 was the first time beach volleyball was in the Olympic Games. And now that my playing days are over, the next best thing for sure is coaching, but really love the sport. It became an NCAA sport in 2016, so it's not even 10 years old. And USC has been all in from the get-go. I was here 4 years as an assistant before being hired in 2019 as the head coach. And it is such a blast, and just trying to push the sport forward. And I think the sport right now is on fire.
Give people in the central and eastern time zones, who are, I think, at this point, the majority of our viewers. Obviously, that will change here coming up at the beginning of August as 4 new schools join the Big Ten. But give people who maybe don't understand the landscape of beach volleyball a little bit of a sense of, like, what's the recruiting landscape? How many high school teams are there that play? Where are those schools located? How do you find players?
Yeah, I think the 3 hotbeds in the United States are Southern California, Texas, and Florida. And it continues to grow. There's a little over 100 schools, I believe, right now, and it continues to grow. But beach is different, right? It's 2-on-2 as opposed to 6-on-6 indoor. So if you're on the beach and you're playing with a partner, it's really difficult to hide anything. You are exposed. You have to be a good passer, a good server, a good setter. And I think a lot of players that are well-rounded are attracted to the game like that. And that's what attracted me, not to mention you're outside, you're in the sun, you're having a good time. And it's just a really great sport and a really healthy sport. And we're trying to push it forward as fast as we can.
I mentioned you're an interesting story, having won that Olympic gold medal, but you're also a well-known sportscaster in LA, so you've kind of worn a lot of hats. What ultimately led you to the decision that coaching was what you were going to do full time?
Well, when I was an assistant here for 4 years, we won a few championships, and then in 2019, I actually broadcast the beach volleyball national championship for ESPN. And then that later that summer, I got an opportunity where the head coach here at SC was retiring. So I knew I wanted to get into a place that hopefully was close to me. I live right in Santa Monica, that had a great tradition, that had a great athletic program, and that was all about academic excellence as well. And USC checks the box for all of those things, and they're very focused on giving the student athlete the best experience possible. So this was a dream come true. I know it took them a while to hire me. They wanted someone who was a head coach formally, but I couldn't change that. Someone had to take a risk and give me a head coaching gig. And COVID hit that first year. But ever since, we've been trying to prove that they made the right decision.
I think you've proven that. I think we're at the point now where we can firmly say, Dain, they made the right decision, given 4 straight championships. Hey, you're being inducted into the USA Volleyball Hall of Fame coming up later this month. What does that honor mean to you?
Oh, it's just amazing. Anytime you're recognized, I don't like to put a lot of emphasis on individual awards, but anytime you're recognized by your peers, it's always something special. And to be inducted into the USAV Hall of Fame, you really have to sit back and think of how grateful I am for the opportunities that I've had, for the path that I've had. And hopefully I've been a mentor and a pioneer for some, to get out on the beach and try a sport that is really hot, is really still relatively new, but it's a blast. I believe volleyball worldwide is the #2 participation sport to soccer. So everybody's played, whether it's jungle ball at the park or the barbecue with the family, some sort of volleyball, and it's so much fun to watch. And hopefully I can continue to push it forward. But very humbled by the induction into the Hall of Fame.
Well, great stuff. Congratulations. We look forward to following your sport and your team coming up here when USC joins the Big Ten, as I said, in August. But Dain, congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.